support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate it. They mean the world to me. If anybody's interested in supporting the channel in that way, you can feel free to go over to patreon.com and choose a subscription level under Engelgeist. And over there, you get certain readings. The daily forecast comes out a day earlier over there at all levels. You can just check it out. If you have any questions, refer those questions to the business page and I can answer them for you. Or if you'd like to book a private reading, you can certainly do that there too. This is the monthly reading for the sign of Taurus for January of 2021. So this reading is for anybody with a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Taurus, or if you have heavily placed planets in Taurus, you may want to watch this. What I mean by heavily placed planets, if you have 3 or more planets, and that includes, you know, the moons and stuff like Lilith, Ceres, Chiron, all of those. If any of those 3 or more of those are in Taurus, you may want to watch this because it might be indicative of what sort of a month you may have in January or what might be available and at work around you in January. I will say this though, if none of this makes sense, that's completely fine. It doesn't mean anything's wrong for you as a Taurian. It just might mean that you might be working on something different or some other house might be in effect in that, you know, situation, so I may not be picking up on it, so don't think that anything's wrong or bad. If you do see stuff that does apply to your life or you can fit it into your life, any personal decisions or any decisions you make after watching any of my videos in your personal life are your own responsibility, so keeping that in mind, always use your own intelligence and intuition first and foremost. Never take anything that I say in a reading over that of a professional in their field. So if a doctor or lawyer or therapist is telling you something, listen to them first and foremost. And then secondarily, listen to your own intuition and intelligence. Beyond that, utilize my readings, please, to help, you know, benefit you in any way, shape, or form. But they should be used as a source of support, not as a, you know, reason to, you don't want them to make the decisions for you, essentially. You want to be in the driver's seat. All right, but generally Taurians know that, I feel like. You guys aren't Jesus take the wheel kind of people, let's just say that. All right, so let's get into this. Let's see what's going on for the energy for Taurus. I chose this animal deck because it popped into my mind. It's the Animal Messages deck. All decks that I use are on my playlist for unboxing, so you can always go to that playlist if you want to see a particular deck a little bit more so. You can also check out the Amazon affiliate links in the deck descriptions. If you choose to purchase the deck for yourself, I get a small percentage if you use my link. All right, so let's see, what is the guide animal, or what is the sort of, this guide animal could be something we need to reflect upon, some energy we need to tap into for the month of January. It can also represent just sort of the theme or what might happen in January for some of us. So let's see what animal comes out here. Okay, well, now this is, I just did Capricorn because we're going into Capricorn season. This would have been a perfect card for Capricorn. But it's not a bad card for you guys either, I will say that, because Taurians, to me, I was thinking about the difference between Taurus energy and Capricorn energy, because in you guys actually sort of came up in the Capricorn reading as I was doing it. And I was talking about how you guys, the way that I see Taurus energy and the way that I see Capricorn energy, they're similar in the ways that I feel like you guys are the backbone of the zodiac. You guys will take on a lot more, say, work, hardship, whatever, and you'll weather it. You guys are like the tough guys of the zodiac, in my opinion. Virgos have their own way of weathering things. They do it from a more, I feel like, kind of a more mental place, or I don't know. But I was thinking about the difference between Capricorn and Taurus, and I feel like Capricorns are a bit darker, a little bit more twisted in a way, and then Taurians, you guys tend to be a little bit more almost from the heart, or vulnerable in some ways, even though you may not want to admit it, is kind of my feeling. I feel like there's just a slight difference there. I was just thinking about the different energies. All right, so let's get into this. So mountain goat. I like that this is a land animal for you guys. I like that it's very earthy. I like that it sort of borders on Capricornian energy, which is very much a sister sign to you guys. This says fighting for love or ardent declarations may hide unfaithfulness. Ooh, Taurus, what are you up to? So I don't know if this is necessarily about unfaithfulness. I feel like there's an optimism to this little bastard as he stands there on the hillside. Excuse my language. But he looks like he's looking to the future. What is it that Taurus wants? What is it that you're desiring? What is it that you might have your eye on? What prize are you thinking about like bringing in, Taurus? It feels like you might actually be looking at 2021 in January as a time for opportunity. I don't feel like this guy is ready to leap just yet. So you guys might be making some decisions throughout January as to, okay, which road do I take? Which way do I want to go? How do I want to go there? In that sort of like grounded kind of Taurian way, right? You guys, that's one thing that you guys are good at is slow and steady, right? And sort of making the right decisions in the right time to getting things done. Procrastination can fall in there, but I don't feel that with this card. I feel like you guys are kind of weighing your options. You're trying to be smart about it is sort of the feel that I get here. I feel like maybe, you know, I mean, certainly 2020 was hard on everybody, but I feel like with you guys, it's like, okay, new doors are opening and being aware of that, being present with that, and then sort of stepping forward in that in a smart way is sort of the vibe that I'm getting as I'm looking at this goat. And the goat to me also feels like we've got a little bit of that bigger picture in mind, if that makes sense for my Taurus people. Like you guys might be looking at, okay, what do I want this year to look like after having been through the last year and what a shit show that was. It's like, all right, I need to map out my entire year. And that's sort of the higher perspective or the view that I feel like this goat is trying to take is, okay, what do I need to do right now to see through to like where I want to be by 2022? Does that make this could be an emphasis on long-term goals. Let's say that. All right, so let's see what's going on here with the cards. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like good about this in the sense that this is a earthbound animal in the sense that it's a strong, you know, it would associate it to Capricorn to me, but that would also be very steady, steadfast, a little bit stubborn, but you guys know that realm too. And about bringing it in, really being practical about how do I get this, how do I get myself over there to that side by year's end. All right, so let's see. Now, this first card represents as the what I call the center, where you're centered at in the month of January. It does not necessarily mean you will be here the entire time. It gives me an insight into kind of where you guys are vibrating at the majority of January. And it also gives me insight into what you could potentially be creating for the future. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, 10 of Swords. Let's let go of that one immediately. Swords is the element of air and the energy of the intellect, or the realm of the intellect, right? Tens are always about sort of the end of a cycle or chapter, not only for ourselves, but maybe for everybody else involved, right? Really clearing things out. It can be about, to me, tens can be about endings and new beginnings, if we look at it that way. The Ten of Swords always has this sort of graphic vibe to it of betrayal, of being defeated in a way, of having learned through a hard lesson. When I look at this, I feel like this is very similar to what we saw in the center of Capricorn, which had a very night sky too. They had the Eight of Wands, which was about forward movement. To me, this feels like there is some last minute close-ups going on in January with us, maybe mentally, that we need to also free ourselves from or release, let go of. That would be the 10 aspect of this card. I feel like maybe it's been a harder year on Taurus than we want to admit, or that we want to like sort of acknowledge. This would be, this card being in the center would say to us that we're going to have to acknowledge that on some level. I don't see the Ten of Swords as a bad card. I see it as maybe, how do I want to say this? Like the muck and mire we have to work through to get to where we want to be, right? And like I was saying in Capricorn's reading, which I feel is very similar energy to Taurus, or the sign of Taurus, is that you guys are no stranger to hard work. Right? I would say that you guys are the most hardworking of even all the three earth signs, in my opinion. I feel like Capricorn is very hardworking too, but they kind of find ways and means to maybe skirt stuff if they need to. Taurus will like really dig in and push through. And so when I'm looking at this, it feels like there might be a push, or we may have been in a push through 2020, and this is the sort of end of that. The January is maybe a time of respite, a time of kind of like tying up loose ends, letting things go, and starting new into 2021. Does that make sense? And so we may have to let go of any sort of limiting thoughts, any sort of past resentments, any sort of upsets or anxieties that we have around people, places, situations that didn't necessarily serve us or didn't turn out the way that we wanted them to. I feel like that's the point of this 10 of Swords, is like, let's just let go of this. Let's just be done with this. Whatever stands in our way, whatever undermines our thinking, whatever undermines our ability to stand strong with our vision trained out to the future, like this goat has here, we need to let it go, right? It's time. So we may have to work through that this whole month, right? This thing may appear and then disappear, you know, like one day it's on, we're feeling it a little bit more and we're having to deal with it, face it, let go of it, come to terms with it, whatever it may be. And then another day it might be fine and we're feeling optimistic and good. And then, oh, boom, we're dealing with like somebody else and their issues again. And so, and our issues around their issues, but we want to let it go, right? Sometimes letting it go can be hard for the Taurians. I get it, but I think it's ultimately for our own good and for our own evolution, right? That's how I see this card in the center here. Will it be the easiest? Maybe not necessarily, but will it serve us? Yes, I think it will be a good thing in the end. So let's look at the foundation. This represents the past, a card from the past. It tells me about a period in the past that is now sort of the foundation for why all the cards are the way that they are today. This card will also give me insight into what could potentially be driving today's situation or this month's, you know, energies. It can also be the memory of this period that is holding everything in place. So sometimes when we know what that is, we can kind of remove that and then things can shift and change. So we have the Queen of Pentacles. This is beautiful. This is definitely Taurian energy. It's an earth sign, and it's also, to me, the Queen of Pentacles represents as how I see Taurus. Being Taurus to me is a little bit more vulnerable. Queens being about the energy of cups, but then we have the Queen of Pentacles, so we have that cups and water, both are cups and water and earth, both are complementary to one another in a very big way. And I like that this feels like she's like, to me, in my opinion, she's like the Empress light, right? She's about abundance, earthbound abundance. She can be about fertility. She can be about the newness of spring, love, all of those earthy, wonderful energies, creation of the material, all of that sort of thing. And I feel like when I look at this card, this feels like this was a long time ago for the Tauruses. I don't know where you guys are at, but when I look at this, this feels like this is where you guys are most centered or feel most comfortable. This is somewhere where you were feeling very comfortable. When I look at this cat with her tail wrapped around that pentacle and all of those bed of roses, it makes me think of Ferdinand the Bull, right? That story. I used to love that story when I was a kid, and how he used to eat the roses. And this to me feels like a time when things were much more peaceful, much more calm. We were more centered. We were grounded. We felt productive. We could see the beauty in life. We felt okay in the world, right? We actually felt even more than okay in the world. We felt like we were a part of the world, connected to the world, even in control of the world in some sort of way, or emotionally connected to the world in such a way that we were able to see like sort of the beauty of these flowers around us or the beauty of life around us, feeling like we were working with the world. Right now, we may not feel that way. That's that 10 of Swords energy, and that's okay. It's been a rough 2020, right? So let's just say that. But when I look at that 10 of Swords, what I like about that 10 of Swords being in the center and this Queen of Pentacles being in the middle or in the foundation down below us speaks to this idea that Taurus is going back to the past, pulling what to me look like positive memories, right? What to me looks like, oh my God, I want to get back there where things were good, where I was like nourished, or where I could maintain my needs and provide. And because that's another thing about Queen of Pentacles, she's like the divine feminine, right? She's the great provider. The Queen and King of Pentacles are definitely the great providers of the deck. And so when I see this here, it feels like your guys' goals are the memories of the past are your guys' goals or visions for the future. Is how do I get back there, right? And I never suggest like living for the past or training ourselves on the past, but I do like that the Queen of Pentacles is the memory that drives us, right? Through whatever struggles we might be dealing with now, right? So what I mean by that is like, if there is this focus of a time that was better way back when, right? We know that we're staying sort of focused on this idea that we can get there, that it's been accomplished before, so we can do it again. And Taurus, that's sort of like the I don't know if wherewithal is the right word, but it's kind of, to me, that's very in line with Taurus thinking in the way that like, well, if I've done it once, I can get back there and I'm going to work hard to get back there. And that's sort of what I think that this goat has like his eye trained on. And we see this fighting for love. There's definitely love in that Queen of Pentacles, right? So if we're fighting to get back to something that maybe we don't feel as though we have anymore, right? I feel that using that as the impetus or using that as the mitigating factor in all of this is actually a really beautiful thing and good, right? So let's go to the Spirit or Soul card and see where it is wanting us to, look at, or what it wants us to look at. Beautiful. So we have the Ace of Swords. So this Ten of Swords in the center is whatever we're working through, whatever we're challenged by or have been challenged by in the past. It speaks to this idea of completion through that number 10, right? And that this month might be that focus. And like I said, that focus will go on and off, right? We may have to go back and forth with that. But I love that we're grounded in this Queen of Pentacles energy, this memory of the past of when things were good, when they were in line with us, when we felt we were achieving things. There's been a lot of stuff that has been put on hold in 2020 where we haven't felt like we can get control. And I know Taurians love control. You guys love, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that you guys love it when you can master a situation and really produce. That's just sort of natural to your earthbound energy. And so that's where you're at your best and your finest, right? And there you want to get back there and you haven't maybe felt like you could. The Ten of Swords is about working through those issues or whatever challenges that we faced in however much time it's been, right? Letting that go. The Ace of Swords up in the spirit space says to me that there's a clarity coming from your spirit that you need to heed, that you need to pay attention to, that this speaks to this idea that whatever challenges us through that Ten of Swords, our higher self is pushing us through that with this clarity. And there's that, the reward of that. Aces always bring newness, opening new doors, new chapters. There's an excitement, there's a clarity, there's a unexpectedness to aces. So allow those intuitions to come in from your higher self. Allow them to bring you that clarity that you may need when you're feeling like trapped in your own mind or caught up in your own thoughts or not issues, but like feelings around situations or stuff that maybe you haven't felt like free of. Right? You're going to get there. I love that you have this Ace of Swords above you and the Queen of Pentacles below you. Those are both really powerful sort of cards at work there, right? And I love that the Ace is in your spirit space. To me, that's like aces are very high energy, right? Spirit is also very high vibrational energy. So that feels very in line. If there's a really creative thoughts coming to you from on high, so to speak, that on high would be your own higher self, right? But if you find yourself getting, little shots of inspiration through mental thought this month, go with it, right? Grounding that in the beauty of the Queen of Swords or the Queen of Pentacles brings about like, how do we take these inspirations of thought from our spirit and make them into something material and abundant. We have that Queen of Pentacles working beneath us or from our past to sort of help propel us forward, right? Even if we might be struggling a little bit with that Ten of Swords in the center, but that's okay. This goat has that sort of trained eye of this might be a little bit of a long haul, but I can do it kind of thing, right? I will say this, an interesting thing too, that I'm seeing this weird kind of parallel with Capricorn's reading and your guys' reading is Capricorn also had an ace in their spirit space in their reading that I just did. They had the Ace of, Wands. No. Sorry. They had Ace of Pentacles in their spirit position. So in the same position as this card. So I think that's interesting that both of you earth signs are operating with these ace energies in your higher self spaces, which says to me that there's an opportunity for big transformation if you listen closely. Don't get too caught up in the mental anguish of like whatever you may have been dealing with, or, you know, if anything's being presented to you that's causing you struggle or whatever, just like wrap it up, complete it, and let it go. All right, the next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These cards tell me what's affecting you either positively or negatively. These things are usually around you, not of you. So they can be people, sometimes events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are around us that are affecting us. Belief systems that we sometimes are taught or that we've adopted or that we've accepted from society that we don't necessarily need, right? So let's look at what we've got here. So we've got the Fool. Interesting. So Fool's also about new beginnings, new journeys, staying open, staying like sort of, how do I want to say this? Like Fool is Aquarius energy. And when I look at this, it's about kind of optimism, being willing to take risks. There may be new doors opening up for Taurus this year in January, but we have to be brave enough to kind of move with it. We have to be brave enough to take it. We have to be brave enough to like sort of maybe set aside whatever we don't, what's the word? Like, to me, Taurians may want to be more methodical, more practical in their approach. They may want to plan a little bit more. The Fool kind of requires us not to necessarily do that. We need to kind of move when the Fool asks and not be able to necessarily plan everything out. That might feel uncomfortable to Taurus, but I think that there's huge benefits in it. Fool is also major arcana, which says that there's big opportunities here to learn, to expand, and to grow. New journeys might be setting off for us in January. That mountain goat looks like he's looking out over the course of the year. So if new opportunities are presented to us, do we take them? Can we take them? Should we take them? I think I would say yes, only from the standpoint that that Ace of Swords is in our spirit space and that Queen of Pentacles is our sort of driving underneath factor. We may not always feel like it with that 10 of Swords in the center, and the Fool might feel a little bit challenging in the sense that it requires a certain amount of trust, a certain amount of, you know, naiveness or risk involved, but it will bring us some sort of growth, certainly some sort of learning, and it may challenge us in some ways, but it's ultimately going to teach us along the way. So keep that in mind. And again, another parallel with Capricorn is Capricorn's position was the devil in this position. So they also had a major arcana card here too. Now, the other card or the other outside influence, beautiful, is Hierophant. So the Hierophant is, I believe, Virgo energy. Let me just double check that and make sure. I'm pretty sure it's Virgo. If it's not Virgo, it's Taurus. So I just want to make sure that I'm right on that before I've got all of these cards swimming in my head. Come on, Hierophant. Hierophant is Taurus and Aries. Sorry. Okay. So it is Taurus. So that's beautiful because it's weird. Capricorn had Devil over here, which is Capricorn's card. I can't remember what they had here. It wasn't another major arcana, but you guys have Taurus showing up here, Taurus energy. The Hierophant is about higher knowledge, institutions, learning, that sort of thing. It's about sort of maybe societal constraints and things like that. I do feel like the Hierophant is a beneficial card in the sense that we have the newness of the Fool, but we also have the knowledge of the Hierophant. So both of these things being outside of us, there might be experiences or situations that we're familiar with that will teach us, that will forge us in some way, but it will be productive. I also like that it is Taurian energy. So if there's anything that presents to us as a new opportunity that feels challenging or a little bit scary because it's that beginnings of the Fool card, right? And we feel like, oh, should I do this? Is this risky? Is this me being foolish in a way? I think we should. And the Hierophant is there to help us too through this month to kind of sort through whatever fears, whatever worries, whatever anxieties that we've carried in to January from maybe last year and situations that we are now beyond or hopefully about to be beyond. The Hierophant is here to kind of help us move us through this situation. It will feel like in line with us, right? Does that make sense? So ideally, whatever we've done in the past may help, hopefully give us the knowledge we need, even though we don't know that we have it. Does that make sense? With that Fool energy, I kind of feel like these two are working together to move us through this month. And both of these being major arcana say that this month, the outside stuff is going to be important, to pay attention to it, to, I would say, trust. You can certainly trust that Hierophant energy. The Fool energy will feel naturally untrustworthy to you because it's unknown. And that's the part where you might feel a little bit challenged, but take the opportunities or take the chances to extend yourself, to push your boundaries, to explore new opportunities, right? To meet new people, whatever it might be, anything that might feel even slightly uncomfortable in a way. And I mean that, I understand what I'm saying, I hope, but anything that could benefit us or move us forward, expose yourself to, or get involved with to a certain degree, and know that the Hierophant is there. It's another either energy or experiences that have taught you along the way that will help you to remain sort of stable, strong, grounded as you go through the newness of the Fool's experience. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys, because I feel like these are these being two majors on the outside just speak to the idea that something's like something big is moving you towards something, I think, that might be also very big. I know that's vague, but it's the best way that I can say it, where it will reach all of you who might watch. Because the Ace of Swords speaks to this idea of affirmation, clarity, all of that coming from the higher self. And I love that Queen of Pentacles sitting in the past, as the sort of foundation of all of this. She wants to provide to my Taurians. So you guys might be taking on a new endeavor that feels scary or unknown, but ultimately in the end, you will be able to manage it and make it work for you. You just have to have faith and trust and move forward and do it. That's my feeling, whatever that may be, because I don't want to get too specific or else it rules out half of you that might be watching. So that's that. I'll leave that there. Now, this next card is what I call the potential outcomes card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where things are naturally heading, barring that nothing major changes. So this card is not necessarily set in stone, but it is sort of like the outcome of where we'll end up at the end of the month. But with this card, we can use it as a warning if it's something negative, so we can make choices and changes through free will now to affect the outcome. But if it's something positive, we can take heart in the fact that it's naturally heading towards this. So let's see what that is. So this is the Ten of Pentacles. This is beautiful. This is Taurian energy. This is earth element. This is total abundance. This is about completions and actually understanding what it is that we want and desire and making that manifest, right? Which is very much Taurus energy. With that Fool and the Hierophant there, I think that this is the big sort of payoff, or the opportunity for the big payoff. Will that show up to you by the end of the month? Certainly that's possible for some of you. The reality of that big payoff could be what this card represents, meaning what I'm saying is it's not like a big check is going to show up in the mail. I mean, that certainly could be the Ten of Pentacles energy, but we could see the possibility of how to create that big check by the end of the month. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's sort of Ten of Pentacles is like, oh shit, this is what I need to do. This is the path that I need to take. I have the Hierophant pushing me along. I have the intelligence of that, the social grace of that, the awareness of that, even though I didn't know that I had it, right? But as we see that towards month's end, we start to see the actual practical application of where we can create this abundance and this wealth, where we can create this not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones. That's also Ten of Pentacles energy. And again, we have that Queen of Pentacles driving all of this. It's that period where Taurus wants to get back to when things were good, where we felt productive, where we saw the beauty in life, and always when we align ourselves to that, I feel like the universe will naturally sort of align itself to us. And that's what's happening with that Fool and that Hierophant. Are we going to have to trust a little bit? Yeah. right? But as we trust, we shift into that ability to sort of create and begin to see that abundance by month's end. And if we don't have it fully by month's end, we certainly have a plan in effect that we can carry off into February and into the months beyond to sort of produce this wealth and abundance that we see in this 10 of Pentacles. So this to me feels like a very good card for you guys to end off in. Not only is it in your home element, but it's also in this element of feeling like sustained, nourished, and complete and whole, right? And it's a far cry to me from that 10 of Swords, which is sort of where you guys are sort of working out not your issues, but anything that's not working for you, you're sort of being challenged by, you're releasing it and letting it go and moving towards bigger and better stuff. That's my feeling, and doing so hopefully with clarity and strength. That is your Taurian forecast for the month of January of 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section and I will try and respond. If you're interested in a private reading that gives you a more detailed focus on yourself and your own specific situation, that's always available to you through the Facebook business page. Please give this video a like, a thumbs up, follow my business page on Facebook. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe there for the daily forecast, and vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, go over and follow the business page so you can reach me there. That is your forecast, Taurus. I love you guys. Have a great January, and I look forward to seeing you guys again in February. All right, take care. Bye-bye.